Well, Coach, why don't you start off by talking about Memphis? They're 2-0. They've won two games pretty convincingly. What do you kind of tell us your thoughts about Memphis?
Yeah, it's scary. A really good football team, playing really well. On both sides of the football. Look at the roster. There's a lot of new faces. 25 transfer / junior college players in the two deep, three deep, and so a lot of new faces. Really talented, athletic football team. Quarterback is back. Obviously, he's a very good player, as we've learned the last 2 years firsthand. And so really good football team, great challenge in front of us.
Could you maybe talk a little more about Hennigan? It's kind of like Sam Hartman all over again. It feels like he's been there a long time.
He's only a junior.
Yeah, I know it does. And he's only a junior. We get 2 more years of him. Yeah, just a really smart, polished football player, effective runner, reads defenses really well, throws a nice ball, a nice deep ball, takes what you give him, can get the ball out quick, when he gets pressured, doesn't take a lot of sacks. Just a really good football player, and you look at them defensively, really, really athletic. I think they play hard, and they're very well coached, on both sides of the football. Got a lot of respect for both coordinators. I've gone against Cramsey a few times, and very creative, does a really good job with that offense. And again, just very well coached and play hard on defense.
This game has been somewhat of a barometer for Navy over the years. In years that Navy's beaten Memphis, it's been a harbinger of a good season within the American Athletic Conference. It's usually meant that the Navy was a contender in the American Athletic Conference. But in the years that you have not beaten Memphis, it's been kind of a harbinger of not so good. Can you talk about that? This is a real barometer game, it seems to me.
Yeah, maybe so. I think certainly if you can beat a team like Memphis, you feel like you got a chance against anybody in this league, because they're, in my mind, they're one of the very best in our league, obviously. But yeah, I got here in 19, and we have not beaten them since I've been here. We played them in Memphis in 19. It was a pretty close game until late. They had a really good football team that year. And I think the closest we got was actually the COVID year. I think it was 10-6 or something like that. Last year, give a bunch of X plays. Game kind of got away from us in the second half. But yeah, I'd say it's a fair statement. Probably will be a pretty good barometer, for our heading into conference play.
All right, I'll pass it off to someone else. Thank you.
I will say the 2019 team ended up having a pretty good year, Wags.
They did, yeah.
Joe Miller.
Hey, Coach, I just wanted to ask about how the dynamic changes for playing on Thursday night. What's the schedule look like this week, and how do you divvy up the preparation, get ready for the game with the unique schedule of playing on Thursday night?
Yeah, it's been a really wacky start to the season, going out to Ireland, then having a bye, and then having a short week. And so, we spent a little bit of time on Memphis in the bye. Obviously, our focus was on Wagner, but we had a couple extra days there. So we were able to do some game planning, during the bye to help a little bit with this short week. I think the biggest thing is making sure that we get everything in that we need to get in without taxing our players too much in a short turnaround. So we're going to be really smart about how we practice this week. Today would be a typical kind of a Wednesday practice for us, taking a little bit out of the front part of practice, a little less indie, a little less volume today than we typically would, but we're going to be in shells. It'll be our only physical practice of the week. And then, Tuesday for us will be a kind of like our walkthrough no sweat Thursday. And then Wednesday will be like a fast Friday for us. And we'll get on a plane at 12:30 on Wednesday and have a good, it's a night game. So we'll have a good amount of time to recover, looking at 32, 33 hours, something like that, if I'm doing my math right. So it's a little tricky.
Yeah. You talked a little bit about Hennigan, and he seems like a very difficult quarterback to blitz, because you talked about sort of his ability to get the ball out. It seems like he reads things pretty well and knows what to do in those situations. How do you, when you know that you're going against a quarterback that seemingly is pretty good against that, do you try to change things up? Do you try to confuse different looks, or you just try to sort of keep to what you do best?
Yeah, I think it's both of those things that you just mentioned. Maybe you should be calling it on defense this week. But yeah, I mean, we got to do a much better job with our disguises on defense. I think there's too many tells right now, and the disguise of the defense is just as important as the defense itself. I think with the variety of looks that we have, if he doesn't know if we're bringing it when the ball snapped, and if he does, that's critical for us because we do need to keep him guessing a little bit, force him to make some fast decisions, and obviously certain situations will dictate when we're getting pressure, when we don't, and when we show the illusion of it, obviously. But yeah, he's really good at that. They always have an outlet. He's good at checking the ball down, and so we got to be smart about when we do it and how we do it, and the presentation in which we do it with.
The one thing that's kind of struck me, at least in recent history, is the amount of big plays that they've been able to hit against you guys.
Mm-hmm.
When you look back at some of those, and then you try to sort of project for this week, what's the one or two things that you are talking with about not giving up those big plays?
Yeah, we've for the most part been able to control the run game when we've played them in the past, and this is Ramsey's second year there. But the dagger has been just what you said, Joe. It's been the big X plays, and when you play a team like Memphis, that's what scares you to death because they're really athletic and they have the ability to run by you. If you don't play with great technique, you're not doing your job. And when we do pressure, we got to get there. And so, yeah, it's a huge point of emphasis for us this week. When we don't give up X plays on defense, we're pretty good. And I think that was the difference in the game last year were the X plays that they hit us on. And you can certainly say the same thing about 19 and 21 as well. So yeah, we got to keep the ball in front of us. That's for sure. We got to make them earn it. Can't give them any gifts.
Thanks, Coach.
Got it, Joe.
Scott Wyckoff.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned seeing this team each and every season since you've been here, and then looking at the tape going into this week. What's been the common denominator that you've seen from these Memphis teams?
Always really athletic. Always big up front. On the offensive line. Always have a D lineman or two who's a really good player and just really athletic across the board at all their skill positions. That's what you typically get when you play in Memphis.
What do you like best about your team coming out of the win and going into this game on Thursday night?
I think coming out of a win, but knowing that we can play a heck of a lot better and coming off of a win and being able to make a lot of corrections. I was pleased with the effort on both sides of the football. I thought we played really, really hard on Saturday. Obviously, didn't execute as well as we would like to, but all the things that we need to fix are things that are within our control. So it's good to see that on film. And when you got guys shaking their head, about, hey, we're so close to hitting it here, making the right read here. It's exciting because you see the potential of what you can be. And so I think that's probably what I'm most excited about, just to build on the effort that we played with. We want to be elite in that category. And I think we've still got some gas left in the tank. I use the analogy of, when that gas light comes on, people think they're about to run out of gas. You got 15 or 20 miles left in that thing. Instead of going to the gas station on the red light, let's drift in that thing with the engine dead, rolling into the pump. And that's the kind of effort we've got to play with. And I think we will. And I'm hoping we can improve a lot, from an execution standpoint. And like our game plan on both sides of football so far. And we got 3 days to prep, and we'll be ready to roll.
Kai's been effectively targeting Kamari at wide receiver. Kamari's kind of got that nice combination of speed, hands, but also showing power, able to kind of carry guys downfield with him. And then that one play carrying guys into the end zone.
Yeah, he's a bigger body wide out, kind of looked like a tight end after he caught it. Trucking some people. I was really encouraged by some plays that he made. And especially in that 1 minute drill, it was good to see. And we need guys like him to make those kind of plays. And so, hopefully that's a good confidence booster for him.
How is he looking on tape, blocking wise?
Really good. I thought our wideouts played really hard. I thought they blocked really, really well on the perimeter on Saturday.
Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Pete Medhurst.
Brian, I want to go back to that 1 minute drill for a minute. What was the key to the execution there? It seemed incredibly crisp. Is that a case? I mean, are you still signaling in plays in a traditional way at that point, or how do you expedite things? Because that really did look crisp for early in the season.
Yeah, I think Coach Chesney has done a great job of working that in practice. And when you get in that 1 minute situation, you don't have time to signal a bunch of things in. You get a lot of one word calls. The guys know exactly where to line up. But I thought the pace at which we went and how we executed was exactly what you hoped it would be in a situation like that. And I kind of cut them on their heels a little bit. But I was really pleased with it. And it's good to see those kind of things that you work on situationally in practice when you show up in a game to be able to go out and execute the first time really doing it in a 1 minute situation was really encouraging.
Joe and I were noting, especially when DBs are playing off of your receivers for whatever reason, the pace in which you recognize that and try to take advantage of that, because I thought that was part of the key there. I mean, they were, essentially gifting you, 5 to 8, even off the line of scrimmage. The identification factor for coach calling the play, obviously Ty recognizing that down on the field that, hey, I got a place I can go with it. Boom, let's get the ball out and go.
Yeah, for sure. You're in a situation like that. There's less than a minute on the clock, and if you're playing defense, you just don't want to give up a touchdown right there. So you're going to play a little looser. And so you got to be able to take those check downs and get first downs and get back on the ball quickly and snap it, but as the clocks continue to roll. And so, yeah, we did a really good job of that. I thought Ty did a good job of recognizing the coverages, and the receivers did a good job of adjusting their routes. And but yeah, I was really pleased with that 1 minute drill.
You tried to throw the ball a little bit this week. You got some things done. The ball distribution was incredible in terms of getting it to different individual people. Cody Howard made a hell of a grab for you down the middle. He just seems like he's getting better and better, and looks like he took advantage of the weight room in the offseason too, because his upper body really looked strong. And obviously that was critical in making the catch that he made.
Yeah, certainly. And you're right. He's had a great offseason, and he's a tough dude. He's playing with a banged up knee a little bit right now and pushing through it. And he's strong, like you referenced, and he's a great blocker. We can do a lot of things with Cody. I was really encouraged by Nathan Kent. He's been out for a month and a half or so now, and was able to come back and play some snaps, had a couple of nice grabs, as well. So I was excited to see that.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Pete.
James Hartner.
Hey, Coach, just a couple quick questions for you. So going back to the passing from Wagner, I was just curious, do you think we could expect to see a little bit more of that toward or throughout the season and whatnot?
Yeah, James, I think we're always going to try to take what people give us, and I've said this before, if we're having success running the football, and we throw it 5 or 6 times a game, and that wins a game for us, and that's great. People are doing some things to take away some of the things that we want to do in the run game, and we need to throw it 15 to 20 plus times a game, and that's what we need to be able to do, and that's hopefully as we evolve, we continue to evolve. That's the beauty of this offense, is we've got to be able to do both. We can't be one dimensional here. We know that, we've seen that, and but to have the ability to get rid of the ball out in space quickly and take shots and play action and boot and those kind of things. We've got to be able to do that. And when we do it, we've got to be really efficient. And that's the key for us.
And I was also curious on why you decided to play Blake Horvath so early in the first half. And I just wanted to know, what did you see or like about the progression that he was doing and whatnot?
Yeah, I think the decision was made before the game. In retrospect, you look at that first drive and how quickly we went down and scored. It might have been wise to leave Ty in for another drive, but we decided we want to do that early because the way that Blake had practiced, felt like he deserved it. In retrospect, maybe I'd put him in the third drive instead of the second one, but I thought he went in and functioned really well. We had some busts around him, that affected those drives. It wasn't necessarily a mistake that Blake made. On the one where we fumbled the mesh, the running back kind of hugged it. Blake was trying to pull it out, as he should have, because that was his read. It probably would have been a nice little chunk play for us if he was able to pull that out successfully. But I thought he looked crisp. Thought he did some good things. They had one throw. We had a guy that maybe not wide open, but certainly could have given him a better chance to catch it. But the ball kind of come out of his hand funny. But I thought he did some really good things. I thought, he athletically he flashes when he's in there, and he's going to continue to get more reps as we go. And I was excited to get Braxton into the game as well. You see him pull the ball down and go a little bit. He looks a little different running the ball. Hits it pretty fast. So it's great to get both of those guys work. It's both of their first college football snaps. And so they have the opportunity to kind of get that out of the way for those guys is really important. And I wanted to do that going in. I'm glad we got to.
And speaking of first college football snaps, when I was at the game, there was a lot of new starters and whatnot, especially on the offensive line. And I was just curious on what'd you see with those or with the new players in, and were there any players that became like the starter during Wagner that you think could play really well against Memphis or throughout the season?
Yeah, no, right now we've got a nice 3-man rotation at tackle. We've got a nice 3-man rotation at guard, which you want, and then 2 guys that can play center for us right now, one being a freshman. So I thought, our players of the game on offense was our O-line. It's usually one guy, and it was our O-line. Because of the kind of effort they played with, the amount of knockdowns they had, was really impressed with that group. And that's the position group that we need to come along the most in order for us to be successful, obviously. And so I was proud of the progress, significant progress we made from, week 1 to our second game, and hopefully that progress will continue, and I think it will.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, James.
Wags.
Coach, you just mentioned about some tells on defense. Are you saying that on tape from Notre Dame and Wagner that you're seeing some things that are maybe tipping off the offense as to what you're bringing?
Yeah, based on some feedback that you get from people that played you the previous year and maybe a team that you're not going to play again. It's good to have some dialogue with the guys from Wagner, after the game to tell us kind of what they saw. And it's always good to get that feedback. And, we harp on it all the time with our alignments and our disguises and those kind of things. And sometimes the players don't really understand just how important that is. And it's our job as coaches to make sure that they understand and that we're on point with that. I mean, it can be one guy out of the 11 on the field that lines up slightly different, that gives something away. And we just got to be really, really good and detailed in regards to those things.
So with regard to the offense, obviously Memphis has given up very little scoring so far. Now, some of that is involves who they've played, but so far it looks like they're a very stingy defense. Obviously the offense is just missing just a little bit of something to turn the corner, but you can't wait anymore. On Thursday night, you probably got to put up some points, don't you feel?
Certainly. Yeah, we've got to be able to move the football. We got to be able to sustain drives, and we have to understand. You're playing, similar to Notre Dame. It's a really, really athletic defense that plays really hard, and so you're gonna have to be okay with getting 3 and 4 yards. And if we have 14, 15 play drives, and we sustain those without getting behind the sticks, without a penalty, without a missed assignment that gets us off track. Taking care of the football, and we haven't had a turnover in 2 games. I'm knocking on my table right here. That's pretty good. I don't think there's been a season that's happened in the first 2 games. So that's the key, is just not beating ourselves and going out and executing, and being okay with grinding it out. And as we do that, on the flip side of that, keeps their offense off the field, which, as you guys know, to be able to run it, control the clock, and keep the defense off the field, that's a formula of success for us. And then when we get down the red zone, we can't settle for field goals. We got to go punch that thing in. And we got to be better on third down. Third down on both sides of the football has not been great in these first 2 games. So we got to see improvement in those categories. But we've got to be able to possess the ball, hold on to it, sustain drives, and be okay getting 2, 3, 4, going forward on 4th down, those kind of things, and be patient and execute at a high level consistently.
So obviously Braxton, he showed in the game what I've seen in practice, which is acceleration, burst. If there's a hole there, he hits it. How much of when you're an option offense and the quarterback has to be a threat, and if he is a threat, it changes everything about the way the defense approaches you. How much of that is a weapon? And do you feel that based on what we've seen so far, the Braxton brings that element that you may have to fold him into the game plan a little more as he gets closer to being able to operate?
Yeah, you would love to. And it's certainly a threat running the football. And it's just a matter of his development right now. You know, he talked about how hard it is to play here as a freshman and all the challenges that you face having to do that. And he's been exceptional. He's a fast learner. He's really smart, but it takes time. And it takes getting comfortable in the offense, being able to get us in the right plays, make the right reads, and functioning under center, functioning in the gun. And he's made significant progress. And I think he'll continue to do that because he's still going to get a ton of reps. And excited about where he's at, and really excited and optimistic about his development as we get through the season. And but yeah, it has a whole new element when you got a guy that's a quarterback back there that's a 700 meter guy or whatever he was in high school was pretty impressive. But yeah, he can go, and you see that gear for a long, tall kid. He can put his foot in the ground, change direction really well too. So it does bring another element for us when he's in there at quarterback.
So Lirion, I mean, he's a real anchor of the offensive line. He's a big body in there in the middle, which is always helpful. Are you concerned that you may be without Lirion for a while? What's your overall prognosis without? I know you don't like to talk too much about injuries, but in general.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the way it's looking, and I hate it for him because he's worked his tail off. He's a great kid, great young man, and I'll tell you what, he's like another coach out there on the field. You know, he's still fulfilling his captain duties. He's going to travel with us and all those things because we need him. And yeah, he's the bell cow of the offensive line. He was getting those guys going on Saturday. Helps get us going during the week, and he's been, for the situation that he's in, which is disappointing for us and for him. He's handled it exceptionally well, and embraced his new role for the time being, and really run with it. And so I'm proud of him and grateful for him too.
All right, I give someone else a chance. I know we're running down on time.
Got 9 minutes. Joe Miller.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on the third down thing because I was looking at the numbers. Now, sack yardage factors into this a little bit, but 27 plays on third down for just 36 yards on offense. And you just mentioned sort of the struggles on third down. I know it's not like a red zone situation, but do you break it down more in depth and say, I know you can't dictate what a defense is going to do, but do you start to think about, hey, we have these 5 or 6 plays we'd like to use on third down, or is it just sort of working the progress of what every drive, and it's unique to every drive?
Yeah, it's unique to every drive, Joe. At some point on the field, we've got a number, where we're at on 1st and 10, what we need to get to on 4th down in order to go for it. That's some analytic stuff we use. And obviously, some gut instinct goes into that too, and the flow of the game and all those factors. But when we get down the red, with our offense and the ability to run the football, got 4 downs to get a 1st down, and we've got to do a better job with that. But yeah, certainly Grant works on 3rd and short, red zone, and goal line a lot. We just got to execute better when we get down there.
Awesome. Thanks. That's it for me.
Thanks,
Scott Wyckoff.
Coach, getting back to the quarterback, Hennigan, he's one of those quarterbacks that while he's productive, he seems real careful with the ball. What have you done in the past with your defenses against quarterbacks with that DNA that can make the plays, get the ball downfield, but also really don't turn it over much at all?
Yeah, I mean, we play a lot of those kind of quarterbacks in this league, Scott, and he's just a really good player. He's like I said earlier, he's an effective runner. I don't think they really want to run him. I know they don't want to get him hit, that's for sure, but he'll tuck it down and he'll get the yards that he needs. And if he's got to take a hit to get a 1st down, he'll do it. He's just a really headsy player. And since they've had him at quarterback, they're super efficient on 3rd down because he's very aware where the sticks are. He's very aware of where the ball needs to go when he gets pressured and all those kind of things. When you're playing zone defense and drop 8, he knows right where to go with the football. Very well coached. and just a very good decision maker. You know, a really calm, cool, collected quarterback. And you watch him play, and it doesn't seem like he has a cannon for an arm. He's not an exceptional athlete, but he can make all the throws, and he throws a really, really catchable, nice deep ball. Gets the ball out on time, in rhythm, and again, just an effective runner when he needs to be. He's not afraid to tuck it, obviously, so you can't deny that part of his game, like you can some quarterbacks who are not real mobile. You know, he's just mobile enough that he's a threat in the run game, and just all around, can't say enough good things about him as a quarterback and decision maker and all that.
How fired up does the defense get, and how important is it when Riley flips the field?
Oh, it's extremely important. You know, punt's not a bad thing when you can flip the field and get somebody backed up. And he's been exceptional. You know, I think the first 2 games, a really good job. I think he had almost a 45-yard net punt on several punts, you know, in the last game. And I think what we're doing from a coverage, protection and coverage standpoint has been really, really good too. Coach Brown's done a great job with our punt team. You know, those are the guys on Friday nights when we go to dinner. They get to eat first, you know, our punt team, and they take a lot of pride in that. And it's probably your most important special team unit. And we work on it a lot. We take a lot of pride in it. And the punting's been really good, and the coverage has been really good as well.
Have a good trip.
Thanks, Scott.
Pete, Matt Hurst.
Brian, when they've played the kind of games they've played in their first 2, is it possible at all to identify any worthwhile trends that you may see from them, particularly on offense or defense at this point?
Yeah, I mean, you get a pretty good feel for what they want to do, how they want to attack people, and you can go back. There's carryover with offensive coordinator. Obviously, there's new personnel and smart coordinators like Ramsey will find ways to get the ball to their best players, and so they're doing some different things. There's some wrinkles, obviously from last year. But yeah. I mean, you get 2 games to watch, and you break that down and scout it as much as you can, and in combination with, our game from last year and the games toward the end of the year that they played. But we're going to see some new stuff, Thursday night. There's no question about it. They're going to look at our defense and they'll add some wrinkles and figure out, how they want to attack us. And we've got to be able to adjust within the course of the game and identify things and make sure that we're able to help them not get the ball to their best players.
After looking at the film, based on what Coach Chestnut identified after the first game, did you see better effort? Did you see better execution than you saw in game 1?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially with the O-line up front. I thought it was one of the biggest improvements I've seen from one week to the next in a long, long time. So I was really, really pleased with that. And I think the thing that was a struggle for us in the game a little bit was just them not giving us what we practiced against. And that's always an adjustment in the game. And I thought we got settled in. I wish we could have executed a little bit better. And we had a bunch of misreads on some things when we were in the under center world. And the same thing in the gun. So I think if we just execute a little bit better, it's a little bit different game.
Finally, defensively, did you think the tackling was better?
It was. I think the only thing I was disappointed with, we had some missed opportunities. I think Busick himself missed 2 sacks as an unblocked guy, which is unusual for him. Missed a TFL, had a guy wrapped up and slid off of him. But outside of that, it was better. It's still not as good as I would certainly like it to be. I think the thing that was a little disappointing for us was just their third down efficiency. I feel like we should have gotten off the field a lot more than we did. And they converted some 3rd and longs on us. And we were right there, really close kind of plays, but we got to be better on third down, on both sides of the football.